I don't know why this is a question. I feel like it shouldn't be a question of how my age, but I am 26 years old and I was originally from California, but I lived in California most of my life, but then we moved to Tennessee when I was a preteen, close to being a preteen. So I lived in Tennessee majority of my life and then moved during the pandemic to follow my career here in Oregon. So now I'm here in Oregon. So now I will be telling you how I found out I have a rare genetic disorder. It kind of started when I was younger, as when my dad started noticing that I wasn't meeting my milestones like my other siblings were. Because I have like 4 other siblings, so like, and I have like a younger sister, and she was already doing things that I wasn't doing, and so that kind of made my dad question the doctor and ask a lot of questions about, hey, something's wrong, like, can you like do some tests, can you do, and of course doctors were like, oh, she's a late bloomer, she will peak when she's ready, and my dad's like, no, there's something wrong, like she's not really like communicating with me, she's not looking at me, like what is going on, until finally a doctor sent us to a specialist at Children's Hospital in Fresno, California. And that doctor took a lot of tests. I don't remember all the tests because I was a baby kind of, so I don't remember any of that, but my dad said we were there for most of the day. And finally when the doctor came in the room and he said, oh, she has a rare genetics disorder called Cornelis-de-Lange syndrome. I know that's very huge and something new, but with her disability, she's going to be, from just looking at her, she's going to be probably nonverbal. She's probably not going to be able to speak. Despite just seeing what I'm seeing today, but that may change in the near future. But just looking at her now, the stuff that she's testing, she may be nonverbal or she may have some communication issues with her speech. And he also told my dad that with Cornelis-de-Lange syndrome, that comes with an intellectual disability, that my brain's going to be a little different than other people's brains. And so that's kind of how I found out I had a disability. But with all that information, my dad went home and sat me down and my siblings and explained my genetics and was like, she's going to, be a little different, she may need our help, she may need more support. And then after he had that conversation with my siblings, when I start kind of understanding more, he started telling me like, oh, you can accomplish things, you can achieve things what you want to do, but it may take you a little bit longer than your siblings because you are made special and your brain is special. So you may not be able to do it fast like your other siblings. You may see your other siblings do things faster than you at your age, but don't worry about it. You will get there when you will. So don't think this is something bad. It is something that is a part of you and you should be proud of. And so that's what my dad was teaching me until I started realizing what a disability was. So now I'm okay with saying I have a disability and I'm okay with that. So that's kind of how it all started off with my disability. And then for those who were kind of like didn't know what I was talking about with the milestones, these were the milestones that I wasn't reaching. And so you can see like at like 2 months, I should be like smiling and have like a smile. I wasn't doing that. By 6 months, I should be like laughing, wasn't doing that. By 12 months, I should be like playing peekaboo. I wasn't playing no games at all. And then by 18 months, I should be like pointing at things and being curious. I was not doing that either. So those were the milestones that my dad was talking about to doctors. And then this is how Cornelis-de-Lange syndrome is spelled. The acronym is CDLS. And so you can see that I have some features by the picture. I like to call hair because I have a lot of hair on my arms. I'm wearing long sleeves so you can't see it. But I do have like a lot of hair. My eyelashes is very thick. So those are little things a part of CDLS. And another thing is that my fingers are small, so I have strong fingers. I'm not wearing them today because I don't like wearing them in public because I'm afraid I'm going to lose the little things that go on the fingers. So I wear them when I'm at home to keep my hands straight, my fingers straight, because sometimes if I don't wear them, I do have pain in my hands. And so there are things I can't do a lot, so I have like strong fingers. And then with having a disability that can come with differences with my physical body is that I had to have eye surgery because I was nearsighted, so I couldn't see something coming out, and I used to have a lot of accidents when it came down to me couldn't see like someone throwing something on the side, so they had to go and cut out the muscles, and I was leaving out there for those who don't want to know all of that, but I had to have eye surgery. When it came down to my education in school, I was in special education because I wasn't able to do what my other peers at my age could do. So like, for example, on one of, I think it's that side, I cannot even tell you what that is. Like right now, I'm not going to even try it because I'm still on, but I can do this page with like the little shapes and the numbers really quickly by myself, and that's where my learning is at. So like my sisters can do that, I can't. I can do this one, and I will just leave it at that. But when it comes down to like reading books, I can't read, like for instance, I will start with The Capture of the Bride. I can read that, but I will probably ask like several different questions, and what this means, and what's going on, or the words might be too hard for me, so I don't even touch that, but I can read like Exploring Rising and House on Maple Street with a little help and guidance, but I kind of understand the story and follow along with it. So I do like to read, but I read books at my level. And so one thing that I really like to encourage people is to get connected to the foundation, because I wasn't connected to my foundation until the pandemic. So I wasn't even a part of this until later on, until I was older, and I wish, and my dad wished I had this connection when I was younger. So some of the questions we did have, the foundation could have asked. So that's a huge thing that I will recommend if you're working with anybody, is to get them connected to the foundation. It will be a really good resource for them. Next, I will be talking about IDD transportation issues. Adults with intellectual disabilities face challenges with transportation that prevent them from successfully participating in daily life activities due to the following. So I'm going to be telling some stories for each one. And kind of, some of them might go all together, so I didn't know how to do that, so I'm just going to show my stories. So the first one is, we all like using Uber apps, right? We all know what an Uber app is, but for someone with an intellectual disability, the app's not friendly. It's not friendly at all. I've been in 2 programs where I've done a program out here, and I will go on to the app, and where the location was, it was a really odd location to begin with. So they were like showing the location, so they had like their name with another organization, so it was hard to, when I do the Uber app and type in like the program's location, it wants to pull the other location. So there's been times where I missed my Ubers. I got charged for missing my rides, or I just be there standing out, and that has happened at another program that I usually take in Eugene. And so Uber apps aren't really friendly because I can't really talk to somebody. And even though there is a text feature to text, I can't text really fast. I can't do that. I need to talk to somebody. So it's very hard for me to even communicate with somebody or try to get into the right Uber. Another thing that I like to use is for handy if my Uber app isn't working. I have taxis in my phone, so I can just call a taxi. And yes, taxis are more friendlier than Ubers because you can talk to somebody, you can let them know, oh, I'm standing over here, or but it costs more for a taxi than an Uber. And for someone who's on a low income and don't have that much money every week to go to the program and spend, it's not very friendly for someone who oh, I could do an Uber, but the location is an issue. I could do taxis, but it costs more. Another issue that I run into is programs not understanding people's transportation. I had a story already prepared, but then a recent one happened yesterday. So I was like, well, I guess I can save this one. I do Special Olympics, I do bowling, and so I went to my bowling alley, and there was a guy, he was like my friend, he's on my team, and I could just hear the main person who's in charge of Special Olympics going up to him and say, you all are leaving on time today, right? Because I can't wait any longer. Today, last week, you were here till 6 o'clock. Did you tell your ride? He goes, yeah, I did. And he kept on questioning him, and I could just see how frustrated this other individual was to the point where I had to speak up and be like, oh no, he's saying everything correctly. Unfortunately, Source, that's where it is and where I live, they need a 30-minute gap. They need to have, so you have to be at the bowling alley, for instance, I'd be there at 3 o'clock, I have to schedule my ride between 2 or 2:30, and they will pick me up between that time. Yes, they may pick me up early, and yes, they may drop me off there early, or they may drop me off on time. But they won't guarantee how many passengers is going to be on the bus, so they may have to drop other individuals off or may have to pick someone up. So that's what they want, the 30-minute gap. So when this other individual who was scheduling the rides, yes, he was calling and yes, he was doing that, but not all people on the phone can be friendly sometimes. So I can get the frustration, and that's where it comes a transportation issue when it comes to programs not understanding all transport to the location or to the program. And to the point where I was doing a program that they didn't understand Source, to the point where they called Source themselves, and then Source called me and was like, why are these people calling me? I'm like, you're getting myself in trouble. You're not realizing you're making it harder for me as the writer than you as a program. And so I had to let go of that program because I was like, I'm not going to come here if there's going to be issues, and I just don't understand why programs don't stay until the person leaves or open before class starts. If you have a class that starts at 10 o'clock, in my opinion, you should be there at 9 o'clock setting up, getting things ready for class. You shouldn't be arriving at 9:50, trying to set up a class and trying to eat your breakfast and go to the bathroom. And okay, you need to put that in, and then it makes it more harder when you're coming up to me and telling me, I'm not a morning person. Okay, then can you schedule your classes later on, because Source don't care if you are not a morning person or not. If I schedule my ride between 9 to 9:30, I'm going to get her early. So if that's not something that you want to do, then really look into your program, and I will be touching on that later. But one thing before I leave is, like I said, rhinoceros is not friendly, and I have one particular person on rhinoceros that I call gives me a hard time. Every single time I call, tell me I don't qualify for this. This person has canceled my rides, and it used to make me so frustrated. It used to tell me, oh, I can't book them. I don't know if this person just don't want to work with people with IDD, because I'm not the only person who's having this issue. I just don't know what this individual has against people with disabilities. But I'm just very thankful and very supportive of my family, because they were, well, we can work around this, we can do something, because I was going to quit Special Olympics because of this individual. But to find out, I know her work schedule, because I know when I call. So days when I don't call at this particular time, I don't get her. So I don't call between this time and I talk to somebody else. They pick up the phone, they know my name, they know where I want to go. I go, okay, so I guess I just can't call between this time because this individual is working this time. But it's hard because some people don't have that sense of mind of like, okay, let me not call, like the individual at the bowling alley, like he probably didn't understand, like he knew he was calling, but didn't know how to explain that to the person who was in charge until I had to speak up. And that's not okay. You should be reliable for everybody, but I will get to that later on in my speech. The next topic I'm going to be talking about is IDD medical care issues. I'm going to be looking over here because my notes are over here, but I want you guys to see me. People with intellectual disabilities also face many challenges when transitioning to adulthood, including a lack of formal transition, medical, dental, and mental health planning, poor organizing of care, and a shortage of adult providers with the right knowledge and experience with disabilities connected to IDD. Individuals with IDD also struggle with communicating their condition and medical needs. It is also hard for people with IDD to understand medical terms to make the right decisions about their health care. So now I'm going to explain each one of these. So challenges faced during the transition, lack of transition planning. Many young adults with intellectual disabilities after high school do not receive good healthcare transition planning, leading to gaps in care when they move from children to services to adult services. And so the next one, poor provider training. Adult healthcare providers often lack the special training and knowledge needed to care for individuals with intellectual disabilities, leading to poor communication and incorrect assumptions and bad healthcare treatment. Difficult with decision making. Individuals may have limited opportunities to make choices and struggle to communicate their needs successfully, making it hard to be a part of their own healthcare planning and decision making. Loss of support systems. The transition also involves losing the school-based services, which can increase the stress of changing providers and managing new health, employment, and social challenges. Financial and insurance barriers. People with intellectual disabilities are more likely to live in low-income housing, making it difficult to afford health care costs. Insurance and transportation. Many public and private insurance plans also limit access to very important services. Planning and flow of care. There is a lack of care planning during the transition, resulting in a break in services, which causes delay in a care. Increased health risks. The break in services can increase health risks and have higher risks for developing serious diseases if their health management is not taken care of right away. Discrimination and bias. Some health care providers may provide poor care due to a lack of understanding or personal social bias against people with intellectual disabilities. Families support challenges. Families who are often involved in caregiving also face challenges in adjusting their roles and supporting their adult children through transition. So that was that page. There's more. Other challenges. Communication and self-advocacy. Individuals may face difficulties in building relationships with new providers and lack the self-advocacy skills needed to guide them through adult medical care, culture, and how to communicate their needs successfully. Provider bias. Healthcare providers sometimes make the wrong decision about a person's health based on their disability and not understanding the person's condition and other conditions that relate to the disability. IDD mental health. Young adults with intellectual disabilities may experience social isolation after high school, which can cause mental health issues. A person with IDD might not be able to explain their feelings that might be causing them mental health issues. It can also be hard to find mental health care and general health care providers trained to understand the mental health needs of individuals with intellectual disabilities. This can lead to the wrong treatment. Now I will be telling you my transition story. Since I transitioned out of children's services, I can't find a doctor that understands my CDLS condition, so when I try to explain my concerns and how they relate to my diagnosis, it's hard for them to provide the right service. This means some of my systems are ignored. Due to my condition, I have certain issues with my health, such as limp issues that sometimes cause me pain. My elbow is missing a bone, so it makes it hard for my arm to turn to move in certain directions. I also have smaller veins in my arm, which can make blood work hard. And when I try to explain, they treat me like I'm just complaining. I didn't have issues with blood work when I was being seen by specialists because they took special steps to do lab work. My condition causes me to have low immune system, so when I get sick, my systems are worse than others, and I feel worse. The common cold or flu can lead to more serious health issues, but doctors have ignored my concerns. So sometimes it's hard for me to explain my systems correctly, so my systems go untreated. So I'm going to tell like a quick story or two. I'm going to talk about the blood work. So I don't share this with a lot of people, but I'm now open to share it now. But I faint when I see blood, and I'm not good with that. So when I go into the lab, I try to explain to them, like, do you, and I'm honest, I go in like, do you know what you're doing? Like, I'm not trying to like say you don't know how to do your job, but do you really know what you're doing? And they will tell me, yeah, we know what we know. I go, no, are you sure? Because if you don't, I will pass out and I will vomit all over the floor. It has happened multiple times to the point where nurses will leave other nurses to deal with it. And I'm just like, so I asked, and I don't know what's up with certain nurses, but they always can't find a vein. And so they always like to put me in my arms. And at that time, I'm already feeling lightheaded, and so it's just a mess. But when I go to other nurses, they know exactly where it is, and they know where I need to be. But so that's a quick one. Another one is when I was younger, I used to go and tell my doctor about my arm. She literally, I'm not joking, this I'm not saying, but she would yank my arm, like, oh, you can move it, everything's fine. And I'm like, no, I'm missing a bone right here, and so there's certain things I can't do, and she was not understanding that at all. So is two of the stories that I've experienced when it comes to doctors. So next I'm going to be talking about IDD issues with for all abilities. For all abilities is supposed to be a term used to include all people. But in some cases, it is being used as an excuse to discriminate against intellectual disabled adults. Organizations have used the language for all abilities to make it seem they are open for people with IDD, but they are shifting away from specific programs designed for people with certain disabilities and pushing out people with IDD that needs more specialized support. Dismissing or reducing services for individuals with intellectual disabilities, using the phrases under the banner of inclusive is a form of ableism, which is prejudice and discrimination against people with disabilities. The purpose for using the term for all abilities. The goal is to move beyond labeling language like handicap or special needs and create a welcoming environment for everyone. Terms like differently abled or people of all abilities are sometimes used in this effort. The misuse. However, disability advocates warn that when an organization uses the phrase for all abilities to justify cutting directly resources for the IDD community, it becomes a tool for exclusive rather than inclusive. The phrase for all abilities can hide the fact that some individuals require specific tail rate support that one size fits all sources and not provide. So I have been going to programs my whole entire life. Now I've been noticing they're taking off IDD completely off their website. So when you go on to certain programs, they don't have IDD on their website anymore. They have all abilities. And I'm okay with all abilities. Like I'm down for it. Like let's do this. But are you really ready for all abilities? And everything that I just shared today, like with transportation, and not being there, and not, asking questions, and you want someone to be here, leave early, then that means you're not all abilities. That you just want one population in your program. And if you're getting funding for all abilities, my question is, what are you using that money for? Because you're not using it for everyone's disability and their needs, that what they need in your program. And those were times where I just leave programs because I just know it's like, oh, they'll just focus on this people, or they'll focus on people, they're not being fairly when it comes to all abilities. And like I said, I'm so down ready for it, but it comes with proper staff. And if you don't have staff who are trained for all abilities and not understanding that people with intellectual disabilities, our brain is like a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old brain, or even a kindergarten brain, just depends who you're talking to. And so sometimes when you're giving us instructions, we may think you're mad, angry, or we did something wrong. Now, some who don't have a disability, they're not going to think like that. They're going to go, oh, yeah, we can fix it, we got it. So when you're saying, why are you showing up here early? Why are you outside waiting? That's not all ability. That means you're not ready for the IDD population, and I wish that people can be more understanding to people with IDD. And it's really hard for me because I can stand here, and if I wasn't here talking about my IDD story and I was talking about something else, I know y'all probably would not have think I have a disability by the way I dress. And that can be even harder for me because my disability is hidden and I have to explain my disability, and that can be very, very frustrating. Now I'm going to be talking about IDD and sexual. So young adults with intellectual disabilities face higher rates of sexual abuse compared to general population, often due to factors like social isolation, dependency on caregivers, and communication barriers. Abuse is frequently repeated, and the offender is sometimes peers and paid caregivers, and is often not reported because victims may have difficulty recognizing or reporting the abuse, or authorities may not believe them. High rates. Individuals with intellectual disabilities are at a much higher risk for sexual assault. Rates could be 7 times higher than for those without disabilities. Easy targets. Individuals with IDD can be easy targets to sexual assault due to relying on others, social isolation, lack of core sex education, or difficulty communicating and recognizing abuse. Abusers. The abusers can be peers or paid service providers, and the abuse can usually be repeated rather than a one-time incident. Barriers to reporting and justice. Communication challenges. Victims may struggle to report abuse due to communication barriers and not understanding the legal system. The lack of accountability. Law enforcement or other legal systems may not believe victims with intellectual disabilities, and leading to a lack of the case of being investigated and charges being filed. Difficulty in identifying abuse. Improper or absent sex education can make it hard for individuals to recognize when their boundaries have been violated. So I want to talk about this because last year something happened to me with this in a program that I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I will say this individual and I, we were very close as friends, and I consider this person as my friend. And one day I went to the program, and I thought the program was safe. I thought everything was good. I went to the bathroom, it was like a normal day. This individual came into the bathroom and knelt on their knees and looked beneath the bathroom stall. And stood there for a pretty long time. It felt like forever. And this person was repeatedly saying a phrase, but I'm not going to say the phrase right now because I just don't want to say it. So they were just saying a phrase over and over again, and I was screaming their names. I knew this individual. It felt really long. When I went to go report the incident to the program, they wrote it down. And I'm not going to say they did because they did, and they did take action. They did put the person on probation. But when it was time for this individual to come back, but when they put the person on probation, the director wasn't there. And so the director felt like it wasn't handled properly. And so she came and talked to me and started gaslighting me, I would say. Started saying, oh, like, do you think this was just like a harmful joke? Like maybe like, this person, like, why are you saying this? And I would know, I just don't want to be around this individual anymore. Can you just keep me and this person separate? They did not want to do that. So I had to take legal action and call the police and make a report that I was scared because I thought law enforcement was going to not do anything. But law enforcement had my back and was like, these are the steps you need to do. We can't guarantee you don't get a restraining order. It's hard to get one in the state of Oregon, so we just don't know if that's going to be an option. But you can try. So I did, and the judge granted me a restraining order, and they granted 20 feet. I was just being nice and telling the organizer program because we were coming up to an audition that all the students had to go to, and so I knew this individual was going to be there. So I was just saying, hey, I have this in place. If this individual is 20 feet or is around me, is inactive, and I can call the cops. So I'm just informing you, but please let law enforcement take their actions. I'm going to leave it there because it got very ugly after that. It just went down. It went to the point where I am no longer in the program. I decided to just let go, even though I won every single time, because I went to court like 4 different times, and I won each time, and I had to let go because they took it very personally, and they were taking that personal feelings towards me as you shouldn't have put out the victim and taking it out on me. So I was like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to treat it like I shouldn't. So I left the program. So these are the little slides that I put in here really quickly. I'm just moving past this because there was a slide like what is victim blaming, and then stop victim blaming. So I didn't know where to put this, but I thought I would put it right here. I have done so many accomplishments in my life, and I just want to say, like, as someone with an intellectual disability, I do deal with things in my daily life. Like, even though I had this assault happen to me, even though I had programs treat me unfairly, I still live life, and I have accomplished so much that I'm very proud of. If I can't list all of them, I will be here for 2 hours. I don't think I was ready to go home. So
that's the truth. It would take longer than 2 hours.
So I don't think I want to hear all of that, but I am going to say some things that where I am now. During the time that I let go of all these programs, I was kind of at home because I don't have anything to do. I don't know, and I was like, I guess I can just go to the YMCA and start working on my physical health. And so I am now restaurant at YMCA. I do body pump, that's me and class, and my weights. I took a picture of this was like a couple of weeks ago, but I just started adding weights to my bar, so I got very excited. So I took a picture because when I first started off, I was just doing body weight. So it was just good to just add weight, and my trainer was so happy. So like, yes, we're adding weight now, good, yes. And so I don't do all the movement with the weight. I do some movement. I still use like little dumbbells and all of those, but it's really good to just put some weight on your bar. And so I was like, well, I don't want to keep going to the gym every single day of my life. Like, I don't want to work out every single day. I mean, it's good. So I decided to start a YouTube channel. And this is a video, but it's just a quick little video of me, but all these different type of videos I did. So it was just like a fun little experience that I wanted to do. Some of my videos are really corny, really silly. It was just me like, oh, something for me to do, but now I really want to take my YouTube channel into something else. So I'm actually taking a break and actually thinking of what do I really want to do in the new year with my channel. So that being said, y'all about to watch some cringe videos that I made. Okay, so I'm gonna play this one for us. This is a dance video. So the next one is, I don't know, transition, I guess. I don't know what you call this one.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my...
one is when people show you the true colors. And so it's kind of like a comedy, I guess, if you want to call it that. So those are my corny little videos that I be doing on Instagram and YouTube. And so now it goes into, okay, there it goes. Now it goes to understanding my mental health. I was not aware of my mental health. I would say, oh, whatever, until I had an incident where I normally go on family trips and it's fine, but this past August, I went on a family road trip with my dad and sister. We were going to a family reunion. I stopped at a gas station, like normal, like very normal, and went to the bathroom. Something triggered me, and I wasn't really like, okay, whatever, when I went back to the car. But as everyone knows me, I talk throughout the road trip. I'm the DJ, I play music, I keep my dad company while my two sisters in the back doing I don't know what. I told my older sister, I want to sit in the back. And I just fell asleep. I just went to sleep and I wasn't myself. My sisters and dad didn't really think about it. They were, oh, maybe she's tired, maybe, maybe I'm tired. We came back Sunday night. The following day, I woke up with pain. My chest was hurting, I felt dizzy, my hands were feeling numb, to the point where I couldn't even bend forward. It was hard for me to even move. And I was breathing really, really heavy. And so, to the point where I want to do what I just suffered the pains. Sorry for any gentlemen in here, I'm so sorry, but when that time of the month comes, I don't take pills, I just deal with it. That day, I opened my door and my dad was right there looking at me, just tears were coming down my eyes. And he was like, I guess I'm taking you to urgent care. He goes, get in the car. He thought I was either down with something or maybe I'm sick. I went to urgent care. They did some testing. It was very crazy because nurses was coming in and out. To find one of the nurses like, get the doctor, get the doctor. And I was like, what? They had all this stuff over me, and finally the doctor came in, and she was like, put her hand on the bed. Sweetie, who brought you today? And I'm like, I couldn't really talk, so I was like, Dad, Dad? And she was like, go get her dad. And they had to bring my dad in, and all of a sudden one of the nurses was like, let me help you take these off and put your shirt back on. And I heard the doctor telling my dad that the door was kind of cracked, saying, we're calling an ambulance. We don't like what we're seeing. And so my dad was like, whoa, wait a minute. He goes, I don't think my insurance gonna cover that. So like, can I take her? And they were, you can take her, but we're gonna have an ambulance behind you. Because this is very like, we don't like what we're seeing. So when we got to the hospital, they did your test. Finally the doctor came in and was like, you need to see your primary doctor. I go to the primary doctor. The primary doctor looked at me like, before we just throw medicine at you, and that's not what I want to do. What's been going on with you? I know you can't talk right now, but like, what's been going on? But my dad was like, well, she did have an incident, but I don't think that was last year. And then it clicked on my dad, like, wait a minute, what happened to the bathroom at the gas station? And I was like, well, there was a lady who was cleaning the toilet, and I saw their knees, and I flipped out. And so the doctor immediately was like, I'm sending you to a specialist who studies with anxiety, because I think you had a panic attack. And so we're going to send you that. Of course, I didn't see the specialist that day. I went home and rest. But then afterwards, I went to go see the specialist. He said, yes, you have trauma anxiety. And I am referring you to see a trauma therapist, because everything that you went through is very traumatizing for you. And I was like, yeah, that meeting was supposed to be like 30 minutes. I was in that room for almost an hour and 40 minutes just talking to the specialist. And he was like, I think you have a lot that you need to get off your chest. And so I think it's best for you to talk to a therapist. And so he gave me like this big stack of paper. I'm like, oh, this is a lot of people. I really want to find someone who's good for me. And he would take your time, but in the meantime, come see me. If you can't see a therapist right away, just come see me. So I have been seeing him, and he's been walking through, but I would have never known how much the incident has impacted on me as a person and my health. And so, is anyone a Twilight fan? Does anyone like Twilight? Okay. So Jacob, but his real name's still Lana, and his wife has a foundation called the Lemon Foundation, and it's just designed for mental health. They had a mental health summit in September. I will stop talking, and I will just show you what I'm talking about. A very good summit. I really had a good time, and they had very good people sharing their stories and specialists, and now you guys are probably thinking that I get to meet the tables. No, I'm just joking. I didn't get to meet them. But if I did, it probably would have been nice, and my pictures probably came out looking like this. So I did get a chance to meet the Taylor. It was just I was so great. I actually met his wife first, and how I met her was I was leaving the room, and I didn't see there was a stage. The stage was right there. She didn't realize there was no ladder right there. So she almost fell, so she bumped into me. She turned away, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I go, no, why are you apologizing? And then she goes, oh, I love your makeup, by the way. I go, thank you. And she's like, oh, thank you for coming. I go, no, thank you. And I told her a little bit about my personal story. And so it was just really great to have that. And then I was really shocked because I thought they was going to have high security because of Taylor Lautner. But no, he was like walking around like, oh, like, hey, this is a normal thing. And so I was like, can I take a picture with you? He was like, oh, yeah. And it was like I didn't really like talk with Jacob Black. I talked with him himself. So it was a really great experience to just have. And now I am really into my mental health, and I'm studying on mental health and seeking therapy. And so I think I encourage everybody to see a therapist, even though you don't have things going on. I really think you should, because mental health is very, very important. Thank you so much. This is my QR code for my YouTube channel and my Instagram and my email. If that is too small for you, I will prepare for another slide. Just because that didn't work for you. And also, if that doesn't work and your phones can be too much, I have business cards. So if anyone wants one, come up to me afterwards and I will hand you my business card with my information on it. So thank you so much, and I'm open to any questions before I leave, if anyone has any more questions.